रामाय रामभद्राय रामचंद्राय वेदसे रघुनाथाय नाथाय सीताय पतये नमः. Aranya chapter number 11, Among the Ashramas. The recitation begins now. Rama led the way, Sita followed him, and Lakshmana brought up the rear, bow in hand. Far they travelled, feasting their eyes with many a sight. Mountains, woods, fair streams dotted with sandy hillocks covered with waterfowls, lotus pools and lakes hid under the clouds of herons, storks and other aquatic birds, herds of spotted deer, droves of wild buffaloes, bands of wild boars that destroy trees, and the lordly elephants that make a pathway for themselves. It was sunset as they reached the banks of a beautiful lake a yojana square. Lovely lotuses and other flowers full-blown carpeted the water. Wild elephants swam and bathed in it joyously. Swans and other waterfowls floated gaily upon its bosom. But, wonder of wonders, from its crystal depths arose sounds of song and music and dance, though there was no creature in view. The princess was surprised at it, and Rama asked of the sage Dharmabrit that walked by his side. This wonderful lake fills us with surprise and curiosity. May I know something about it? To which the rishi replied, Panchapsaras it is named. Mandakarni fashioned it out of the might of his tapas in the forgotten past. Thousands of years did he practice stern tapas in these waters, the viewless air his only fare. The gods were sorely disturbed thereat, and resolved amongst themselves that he was surviving for a place among them and should be foiled. 5 of the loveliest apsaras were deputed to the work. The Maharishi, as a knower of the Supreme Lord, affected to be caught in the toils of love, but to secure the ends of the Devas. The ladies stayed with him as his wives. He spends his time with them in a dream of bliss as a handsome youth, in a wonderful mansion erected in these waters through his yogic might. The sweet music of their ornaments and the sweeter melody of their song and dance are wafted to our ears in rippling waves of delicious harmony. Wonderful! Exclaimed Raghava, and travelling for a while, came upon the group of ashramas. They teemed with brahmanas and were adorned with kushagras and robes of bark. The party stayed among them for a while, enjoying the warm hospitality of the holy men. They repeated their visits oft, and stayed for varying periods of 13 months, 12, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1 and a quarter, 3 quarters, 3/8, until 10 long years stole silently away. Then they returned to the ashrama of Sutikshna and dwelt there for a while. One day Rama asked the rishi, Holy sir, the hermits give me to understand that Maharishi Agastya has his abode in this forest. I cannot locate it. May I know where it is? I would proceed there and seek the presence of the saintly one to serve him for a while. Sutikshna was highly pleased thereat and replied, It was in my mind to speak to you on the subject. I am glad that you proposed it yourself. 4 yojanas to the south of this ashrama lives the brother of Agastya in the midst of dense pippali forests. It abounds in fruits and flowers. Crowds of parrots warble melodiously. Holy lotus pools meet the eye everywhere, the favorite home of swans, herons, and other waterfowls. Rest there for the night and resume your journey at daybreak. A yojana to the south of it, you come upon the ashrama of Agastya. Trees of curious shapes and colors will delight your eyes, and beasts and birds. Start today, if you will. Rama and his party followed the route marked for them by Sutikshna and passed by lovely groves, cloud-like mountains, lakes, and rivers. He turned to his brother and said, I believe we are nearing the ashrama of Agastya's brother. Our short acquaintance with the forests has made me familiar with the various footpaths and the trees, fruits, and flowers therein. The breeze wafts to us the pungent fragrance of the ripe pippali fruits. Piles of wood lie here and there, ready split for fuel. The kusha grass along the paths, green as emeralds, had been gathered by the sages. A dark cloud hangs over the center of yon grove, probably of the smoke from countless sacrificial fires. Behold these brahmanas, fresh from their bath in the sacred waters, who themselves gather flowers for worship. This is the ashrama of Agastya's brother, as described by Sutikshna. The mighty Agastya came to the southern hemisphere to secure the well-being of its inhabitants and destroy the asuras terrible as a lord of death. Two brothers lived here of yore, Vatapi and Ilvala, so named. Asuras they were, supremely cruel, that fed upon the flesh of brahmanas. Ilvala, in the disguise of a brahmana, used to invite respectfully in well-chosen Sanskrit the brahmanas that passed this way to partake of his hospitality in a shraddha he was performing. Vatapi turned himself into a sheep, and him did his brother kill, and serve his flesh to the brahmanas with due rites. When they had eaten of it, Ilvala cried out, "Vatapi, come forth!" At once that wicked asura bleated like a sheep and came out of the stomach of the brahmanas, killing them on the spot. Day after day did these fiends feed upon many a brahmana, until the gods entreated Agastya to journey hither. He partook of the meat placed before him by Ilvala in the shraddha. "Are you satisfied?" asked Ilvala. "I am satisfied," replied Agastya. Then the asura poured water on his hands and called out, as usual, to his brother to come forth. Thereat Agastya laughed aloud and said, "Your brother has been by now thoroughly digested by me. Perhaps you may meet him in mansions of death. You but wait for him here in vain." Ilvala sprang at the sage in fury to avenge his brother, but was consumed to ashes by the fire that darted from his eyes. And this is the ashrama of the brother of the almighty Agastya, who wrought this miracle all through his love of the brahmanas. Meanwhile the sun set. They offered their evening prayers and entered the hermitage. The Maharishi welcomed them with unfeigned pleasure, and they spent the night with him. Next morning, Rama went up to him and said, "Holy sir, a happy night did we pass in your abode, thanks to your noble hospitality. Pray give us leave to proceed to the ashrama of Sage Agastya." "Fare you well," replied the sage, and they journeyed along the route marked by Sutikshna. Their wandering gaze fell upon forest trees of various kinds and colors, plants, shrubs, and saplings covered with flowers, and creepers through which wild elephants had rudely cut themselves away. Birds of varied plume and note sounded from among their midst, and curious monkeys. "Lakshmana," said Rama, "these trees grow in luxuriance, thanks to the fostering care of the people here. Birds and beasts wear an air of calm and peace. Hence, I guess right, we are nearing the ashrama of the Maharishi. Care and grief fall away from the shoulders of those that seek these retreats. The sacrificial smoke rolls among the trees from which hang garments of bark, while birds and beasts roam in peace and content through them. The Rakshasas shun these spots and dare not invade the southern quarter as before. Nay, many of them have put away their cruel habits and fears and lead lives of quiet. The sage has given his name to this quarter. Cruel creatures, man and beast, dare not even raise their eyes towards it. Once upon a time, Mount Vindhya grew and grew, intent upon blocking the path of the sun, but Agastya commanded it to forbear. Countless years have passed over his head. Of unparalleled renown, all beings offer him deserved worship, for his heart is centered in the welfare of the good and the holy. Verily, he would compass our highest good if we wait upon him. I propose we spend the remaining years of our exile in reverent service to him. Devas and Gandharvas, Siddhas and Maharishis ever offer him worship and homage. The liar, the man of cruel deeds, the sinner in secret, the murderer, the heartless and the unbridled cannot stay here. Devas and Yakshas, Nagas and Patagas, that is Garuda and his guide, frequent this ashrama to lay up merit through stern vows and observances. Many a Maharishi here perfected himself in tapas, put away his garment of flesh, and rose to the worlds of light in godly splendor, borne aloft upon sun-like vimanas. The Devas are pleased at the worship and adoration offered them by the sages here, and raise their devotees to the worlds of yakshas and gods, not to speak of the lordship of the kingdoms on earth. Well, we are even at this asrama. Go in advance and respectfully submit to the Maharishi that Sita and I await his permission to pay our respects to him. Mangalam Koshalendraya Mahaniya Gunabde Chakravarti Dhanurjaya Sarvabhaumaya Mangalam.